What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Bundesliga Week 5 predictions. Also, real quick, we did have some La Liga midweek predictions yesterday on the channel. If you want to go and check that out, they're kicking off right now as you're watching this video. We had a good week in the Bundesliga last week. We were 1 goal off from the Bayern Munich score prediction. We said 4-2 and 4-1, and we did correctly predict Leipzig to win 3-1, which is awesome. Flashed up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon. We've had some insane winners over there recently. We are back in profit for the season, which is awesome. We'll have updated records and stuff when the Premier League video drops, because that's when I tend to get into all that. But if you want to shout out in every single video, access to exclusive members tips and accumulators, group chats and everything like that, then be sure to click that top link in the description to join me over on Patreon. I will say I'm pretty ill right now, but this video has to go up. It has to be done. It goes up in 2 hours. So here we are talking about the Bundesliga, and the first game, it is brilliant. Bayern Munich up against Werder Bremen. Bremen losing out to Freiburg 3-0. Bayern winning every game, 4-1 against Hoffenheim, 5-0 against Hamburg, 3-2 against Augsburg, 6-0 against Leipzig. What does every single game here have in common? There's a minimum of 5 goals, which is absolutely insane. So I'm going to go one further and just say it goes absolutely mental. Let's just say 6-2, because I've never predicted a 6-2 scoreline, and it would be really cool to get it right. But the tip at odds of 2 is over 4.5 goals. And as I said, every single Bayern Munich game in the Bundesliga this season has had over 4.5 goals. And even in the Champions League against Chelsea, who you'd think were a better team, we correctly predicted them to beat Chelsea 3-1. So that was 4 goals. So every game, there's a ton of goals. I'll go 6-2 as a bit of a laugh. I think if I had to guess a score prediction, I probably would go another 4-1, maybe a 5-0, but I'm going to go 6-2 for fun, over 4.5 goals at 2. After this, it is St. Pauli up against Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen slim favourites away from home here, and I do think they are actually going to get the win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, but at similar odds to Bayer Leverkusen to win. To keep the score draw on side, I'm going to go for Bayer Leverkusen double chance and both teams to score at odds of 2.2 as my tip. After this, we have winless, I should say, but they don't have any points. Pointless sounds harsh. Pointless Heidenheim up against Augsburg. Augsburg 1 win against Freiburg on the opening day of the season, but losing every game since against Mainz, St. Pauli, Bayern Munich, Heidenheim losing to Hamburg, Borussia Dortmund, Leipzig, and Wolfsburg. Now, these three, you'd expect them to kind of lose those games, but losing to Hamburg is a bad result. I'm actually going to go for both teams throwing caution to the wind here and picking up their first draw of the season. I can see why Augsburg are slight favourites here. Heidenheim look like favourites to go down. I mean, they did well not to go down last season, to be honest. So I'll go 2-2 here. The tip is going to be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at odds of 2.05. I don't think you often get the odds above evens for BTTS and over in the Bundesliga. I mean, I can see why Heidenheim have been woeful this year, but I still think that's a good pick. After this, it is Mainz up against Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund winning their last game against Wolfsburg 1-0, and Mainz winning their last game against Augsburg 4-1. Mainz not an easy team to beat, and Dortmund certainly last season were very tricky to predict away from home, but I feel like they're sort of starting to turn the corner. They obviously got that draw with Juventus 4-4 away from home, and if not for 2 stoppage time goals, they would have beaten Juventus away from home. So perhaps, I know Dortmund are typically a little bit better in the Champions League than they seem to be week in, week out in the Bundesliga, but maybe their away form is starting to turn around from last year. I'm going to say 2-1 to Dortmund, and I like the odds, so I'm going to go for Borussia Dortmund to win at odds of 2.1. After this, we go to the Volkswagen Arena in Wolfsburg for Wolfsburg up against RB Leipzig, and this one, I'm actually going to go for a bit of a shock. Leipzig 9 points from 3, Wolfsburg 5 points from 3. They've had a bit of a blip here, losing to Dortmund, drawing with Koln, drawing with Mainz. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to RB Leipzig. But the tip, I'm not super certain on RB Leipzig winning here, so I'm going to keep the tip at both teams to score. The odds are only 1.44, but I think both teams to score is pretty much a guarantee. After this, we have Borussia Monchengladbach winless this season up against Eintracht Frankfurt, the tale of 2 halves. 2 wins kicking off against Bremen and Hoffenheim, and then losing to Leverkusen and Union Berlin as well. They were at least 3 goals down in that game. They clawed a couple back towards the end, but that is not a good look for Eintracht Frankfurt. And I think at home here, Gladbach are going to remain unbeaten. I'm going to go 2-2. And again, the tip is going to be both teams to score on over 2.5 goals. And like I said, you don't normally get above evens for this. For this pick, it is only 1.6 1.66 because it is so likely. I could see Frankfurt winning both teams to score. I could see Gladbach winning both teams to score. And obviously here, I could see a draw and both teams to score. So I'm trying to keep it all on side with BTTS and over 2.5 goals. After this, we have Freiburg up against Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim going win-loss, win-loss. Freiburg, perhaps 2 losses, 2 wins, alternating. You never know. But I think I'm just going to shade this to Freiburg at home. Hoffenheim, they're a good team. They're an exciting team. Moving forward to Bayern, they lost 3-1 to Frankfurt. When they lose, they do tend to score, and when they win, they do tend to concede as well. So both teams to score has happened in all of Hoffenheim's games. Freiburg beat Bremen 3-0 and Stuttgart 3-1, and that's a formidable run of results. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Freiburg, but again, the tip is both teams to score at 1.5. As I said, it's happened in every single Hoffenheim game. After this, we travel to Köln up against VfB Stuttgart. Stuttgart winning 1, losing 1, so this could potentially be a loss. Köln losing out to Leipzig 3-1 as we predicted. Stuttgart beating St. Pauli 2-0, which is a pretty good result. I think I had that at 2-1, but St. Pauli have been in really good form this season, or they've been playing well, and Stuttgart got the win. So I'm finding it quite difficult. I think these odds sum it up perfectly. I would put Stuttgart the slight favourites. I would say they're the better team, but they are away from home. So I'm just going to cancel the 2 out, err on the side of caution, and go for my lowest scoring game of the video. And that is going to be 1-1. 2 goals in it, but the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.5 because I could see, again, much like the draw up here with Gladbach and Frankfurt, I could see either of these 2 teams winning with both teams scoring. So I'm going to go for the 1-1 draw and tip both teams to score at 1.5. Now we travel to the final game. It's Union Berlin up against Hamburg. Hamburg, I don't know. I did not expect them to beat Heidenheim, but they did. That's a really good win. I don't think they'll get many wins this season. Union Berlin just slapping up Eintracht Frankfurt, scoring 4 past them. With that being said, I cannot look past a Union Berlin win. I'm going for a 2-0, making Hamburg the only team I'm predicting to not score in the Bundesliga this week. The tip is going to be Union Berlin to win. I've got odds of 2.05 here. I think they're really good odds, and I don't see Hamburg winning away from home against this team. I think that's probably tip of the week in terms of value and odds. I think Union Berlin to win at home above evens or thereabouts is really good value. So here is a quick summary of my picks. A lot of both teams to score. I think you could go for Bayern Munich and both teams to score as an outright tip. I think my favorite is, like I said, Union Berlin to win, but a lot of both teams to score across the board because I'm not so certain that Bayer Leverkusen win away against St. Pauli, but I am pretty sure that both teams will score. I'm not so certain that Borussia Dortmund will win away from home against Mainz. More certain than I am with Dortmund than I am with Leverkusen. It does have to be said, but I do think both teams will score. And you've got to ask yourself the question, will some impending Champions League fixtures distract the likes of Leverkusen and Dortmund on the road, where they might have one eye on the Champions League as well? So that does have to be considered, but those are my picks, and that does do it for this video. So please do drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe so you don't miss any future content. We've got Serie A and La Liga coming up tomorrow as always, Premier League the day after that, and then next week we're coming back for more Champions League action before we unfortunately head to another international break, during which you can of course check out the Patreon to see what I think and what my tips are for those international fixtures. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.